So again, I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Tasha Nakana. I'm the owner operator of TikTok Around the Clock, 24-hour childcare. And I want to welcome our parents and providers into this space to open to anyone who wants to share information about policy changes affecting the childcare and the early care sector and keep people active and fighting. Okay. Here's a safe space that you guys could talk about anything that's going on. Right. And that's why we pause the recording so you guys won't feel like, okay, whatever we said is going to be someone else is going to hear it. So that's why we came to this space. We want to know that you're free, welcome to say anything you want to say, what's been bothering you in your space. Okay. And tonight we have our partner and staff with us with update and talking about this year. This year our efforts are going to make a difference. To kick off, we have Meryl Gray, Executive Director of Childhood Alliance, and our Policy Committee co-chair.
Good evening. So I've been asked to talk about what's happening at the federal level and what's happening in Hartford. So after a long time of feeling like Washington was on fire, we finally have a budget that is funding most of the federal government, including the child care part. So it's been a long time since we've just approved budgets the way that we're supposed to, instead of doing continuing resolutions or shutting the government down. But a couple of weeks ago, Congress passed 11 of the 12 budget bills. So the one that hasn't passed is the Department of Homeland Security. But as far as early childhood stuff, the Child Care Development Block Grant, which helps to fund care for kids, passed with a very small increase, which was nice to see that there was any increase. The C Campus program, which provides grants to colleges to have childcare on campuses, passed. The preschool development block grant to states passed. All of those were pretty much either they got a tiny increase or they were flat funded, but that was a lot better than what we thought things might be 6 months ago. So now let's move to Hartford. The legislature is in full swing. This is a short session, which means it'll wrap up by the 5th of May. There will only be about 12 days when the House of Representatives is actually meeting in session. The rest of the time will be used. The rest of the session time is for committee meetings, hearings, all of those sorts of things. But as far as voting on bills in the House, that's only 12 days. So there's not a lot of time to get things done. The budget is the primary thing that they do in a short session. So the governor proposed some minor changes to the state budget, and the legislature is now trying to figure out how to fund the things they'd like to fund and also deal with the big cuts that came from the federal government last July with the quote big beautiful bill that dramatically cuts back on SNAP funding and Medicaid funding. So that's about $1 billion that the federal government used to give the state of Connecticut that isn't coming anymore. And we need to decide the legislature needs to decide whether or not we're going to replace some of that money so that we don't have hungry people without health insurance. As far as what are the big issues in the session from an early childhood perspective, we are trying to make sure that we have a significant deposit into the early childhood endowment so that come July of 2027, there is enough money in that endowment to do all the things that were promised. And that includes making care free for families under 100,000 in the Early Start programs. That covers about 18,000 kids. And Then the other things that we are trying to do there is to raise the wages for early educators in those programs and allow more programs to join Early Start and be able to take advantage of that subsidy program that gives parents under $100,000 free care. So right now, the governor's anticipating that there'll be a $130 million deposit from the surplus. That's not enough. And so we've been trying to make that case with legislators. The other thing that is the governor's budget didn't propose was to do anything about the Care for Kids wait list. And there are currently 2,900 families who have already been pre-qualified on that wait list. That means that there are about 3,750 kids. The numbers bounce around because they pull more kids off the wait list and take them through the process. But that's a lot of families. And if you're in some place like Waterbury, that's like 400 families. I know that there are a lot of childcare programs right now that have vacant spaces where they can't find paying customers because nobody in town has enough money to pay for the real cost of childcare. They're really reliant on Care for Kids. And with Care for Kids with a big wait list, you got 400 it's over 400 kids in Waterbury who have been pre-qualified and are waiting. And that's really frustrating for all those childcare providers who've got empty spaces that they'd like to fill. So two other things that are up for consideration in the session are funding for the Birth to Three program, which provides the early intervention services for children with developmental delays and disabilities. A couple of years ago, the state funded a study to try and figure out how much they should get paid. Last year, the governor proposed to do a rate increase. The legislature didn't approve all of that. And now they're back again trying to get some more funding because 3 Birth to Three providers have shut down in the last year or two. And it's becoming harder and harder for them to provide the services that are needed. The other interesting bill that just got raised for a public hearing is a bill about limiting private equity in childcare. So private equity is big institutional money that go in and buy up businesses, try and make them more efficient, and then sell them off. If you're in Waterbury, you know about Waterbury Hospital and Prospect Medical Holdings, which was a private equity firm that has come in and essentially that hospital and drained it of all resources before leaving it bankrupt and for the state to pick up. So we have started to see private equity move into early childhood programs, buying up small chains to create bigger chains. And we don't really want to see that, what we've seen in hospitals and in nursing homes, move into childcare. So that will have a public hearing coming up in the Children's Committee in the not too distant future. Right now, we're waiting for confirmation, but it looks like March 3rd is going to be the day when there will be a bill heard in the Children's Committee talking about Care for Kids and the need to come up with more money to clear that wait list so that families can access care. And just so folks understand, what happens is people get put on a wait list, and that wait list is now about 8 months. Well, in 8 months, the job that you thought you were going to go work at may have gone away because you didn't have childcare that you needed to go to that job. Or you've found some other arrangement, like you decided, all right, we can't afford childcare, so I'm going to find some hours in the evening someplace so that we can get by without paying for childcare. There's a lot of stuff that people are doing that when they finally get their name called off the wait list, they then aren't eligible because either they're not working or there is somebody else at home for the hours that you're trying to work. And those things all make it so you're not eligible anymore. So right now, only about 17% of the people who've been called off the wait list since December have actually gotten a certificate. There are another 20 some odd percent that are in the works, but almost half of them either didn't respond or have been found ineligible. That's what happens when there's a big gap between the time you're applying and you're eligible. And then if you wait for 8 or 9 months, things have changed. So lots of families who needed care 8 months ago are finding that they can't get it. So big public hearing, big press conference, trying to get lots of people out to the Capitol. And we will let everybody know definitely when we've got confirmation that that's the date, but that's what's it's looking like. Did I leave? Oh, if you're interested in thinking about testifying at one of those hearings, let me share the Alliance's Advocates Guide, which is in English and Spanish. It's got lots of information about how to testify, sample testimony, sort of the basics of writing testimony, but you're welcome to download that and have that to look at after the meeting. Did I miss anything?
I don't think so.
You're good.
Okay.
I think you're good. Well,
Meryl, I
thank
had
you,
a
Meryl.
quick question if you could hear me.
Yes, hi, Mindy.
Hi, Meryl. I was wondering if we know the use of the preschool development block grant. It's like $11 million, is that right?
$11 million. It is, it's not for direct services. It's all for systems building. So I think they'll use some of it for the portal. They're doing some of it for cost modeling, trying to figure out things like, okay, so how much money is going to be lost to programs, to early start programs when parents under 100,000 don't have to pay anything anymore. And also looking at what is it that it's going to cost to raise wages for early educators in those early start programs to comparability with public school teachers. So I think they have 3 or 4 different uses of it, but it's all kind of behind the scenes work.
Okay, that makes sense. I was wondering because and we could maybe talk about this offline, but I was trying to find out more about the portal RFQ process. And I was hearing that OEC is actually going to go for an IT grant and go through, like, I guess, bond funds for some of the portal money. And I was just wondering if that was a larger conversation about a pivot in strategy instead of using endowment money, or if you were kind of aware of any
Well,
of
they
those
may be
conversations.
looking at trying to do bond money for stuff rather than using the portal money, because if they don't have enough surplus to deposit into the endowment, we may not have as much endowment money as they initially envisioned.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Other questions?
Meryl, I'm sorry. What was that March date for the bill?
I think it's Tuesday, March 3rd.
Thank you.
Hi, Merle. I can't see how to raise my hand. This is Queen Freelove.
Yep. Hi, Queen.
I heard you speaking of the money that is going into early start, and I do know money that is going in to raises being increased for the union is something that's going to be done through our contract. But with that being said, is the Office of Early Childhood thinking about the contract that is coming up, and to make sure that money is going to be there, so when we do agree on a contract, that there's money. I don't want to hear no, 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 because OEC is really thinking of one way, which is early start. And thinking of early start, I had a parent call me today where she called around to, quite a few centers, and some of them said they never heard about the early start. because she can't afford a copay or anything like that. And I did hear when a child gets into that program, there is no fee that is required by the parent. But why are so many places saying that they don't even have it? So this parent is like, well, Queenie, what do I do? And I'm like, I really can't answer that question.
Yeah,
So
so there are about 450 early start programs around the state. They serve about 18,000 children. So, 18,000 is a tiny fraction of the overall number of kids. I mean, it's less than the number of kids on Care for Kids, which is about 21,000 right now. And so it won't be free until July of 2027. Right now, it's still a sliding scale. But it's like the old school. I mean, anybody who was in a school readiness preschool or a state child development center, those are now the early start programs. And since then, we've done 2 rounds of funding where we invited new providers in, and that's another 1,000 slots. But across the state, that's a pretty tiny amount. And it was a really small, less than 10% of the people of the programs that applied to become early start slots got any subsidy, because they right now don't have enough money to do more.
Well, my other question is this. Why I know this is one of Ned Lamont things, this early start thing, but why is there being so much money put into early start when there are good in-home child care providers that can use that boost of money without being early start? Why are they not finding out what do in-home child care providers need without being on that? Why are they not funding just the general child care providers?
May I chime in
Sure.
on this really quickly?
Absolutely.
Queen, I do believe that family child care centers and providers are eligible to apply. Only a certain percentage of them will be accepted in the overall. A larger percentage has to be, early start providers, or I'm sorry,
Centers,
the child care centers, and then there's a certain percentage for family daycare centers. So they will be eligible, and I want to say that the signing up time has since closed, but I would pass that information on to anybody that you may know, and have them look into it for, if they did miss it, then they can go for the next year.
Yeah, so there'll be another round of funding in the fall, and that will be essentially everybody is recompeting. So with school readiness programs, they used to compete every 2 years in a grant cycle. The old child development centers have never been recompeted. Some of those programs started with funding back in the 1960s. So it's a big change for them, but all of the early start programs will be applying for, I think it's either a 2-year or a 5-year contract that will start in July of 2027. So you'll apply in the fall, and then you'll get told sometime in the spring, but the contract will start with the new state fiscal year in 2027. Faith, you've got your hand up.
Thank you.
Yeah. Faith, you were muted. Where'd you go?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm here. I was talking to myself for like 30 seconds. I was saying there were so many different dates put out, and what was the cutoff for the written testimony? What's the cutoff to submit that? And do I submit it to you?
No. So in the advocacy guide that I shared in the chat, there are the links to submit testimony, and we've been updating that as new hearings get scheduled. We've got things. but you can submit written testimony on a bill pretty much any time during the session. Now, people may not read it the later on it goes into the session, but if you missed testifying on the appropriations bill yesterday, you can still submit testimony. And there will
I
be.
can do written testimony still. And
yeah, you can do written testimony. Yeah.
Okay.
And go ahead. Okay. On the 3rd of March is when we think the next hearing in the Children's Committee will be. And that is where there will be a bill about care for kids. So that's I know that'll be something a lot of people will want to talk about. There will also be a hearing in the Education Committee that will have a lot of unvaccinated homeschoolers showing up. But that's, I'm not exactly sure what day that's going to be. Any other questions that I can help with?
If not, I'll just jump into some updates, Tashi, if that works for you. Is that you're muted?
Yeah, you can jump in. Yeah.
Awesome. Hi everyone. Danny, I'm the policy director for childcare for CT. Meryl, you covered basically all the things that I was going to talk about. So now I can explain everything over again and just do a repeat, but do it with a little bit more flair, I'm thinking. So if everyone just wants to bear with me, I'll throw some music on maybe and dance a little. No, I'm totally kidding. But Meryl, thank you for covering my whole section. So I will kind of dig into, or I'll go over March 3rd, which is our potential date. We do have a bill that we've been working on. We've been working with legislative leadership to draft a bill. So we do not have a number. It's not official or anything. So we can't really say too much, but if you check in the chat, Alyssa was able to drop in our legislative one-pager so you can take a look at some of our priorities that we've, worked with on the policy committee alongside Meryl and our other co-chair, John Catalan, and the whole policy committee group. So we are looking at that March 3rd date. And I'm gonna totally call on Tashi here because I know Tashi and I always have fun up in Hartford for hearings as well as press conferences. So I hope everyone will be able to join. We are expecting to have a press conference that same day. So please, please, please check our social media. And if you're not subscribed to our emails yet, which I'm assuming if you're on this, you probably are. We will be sending out emails so everyone is kept up to date about bill information, hearings, as well as any press conferences that we have. In the emails, we'll also have instructions for how you can sign up if you want to submit written testimony or if you want to actually testify in person or on Zoom. We help you sign up for that. We really do it for you. We walk you through everything. We help you build a testimony as well. I know Meryl put in the chat a link for his stuff as well. So that's also helpful. And I think that's it. I guess I can start breaking out into song now if everybody wants that, but you just you let me know. If we're set though, or no one has any questions, I'll pass it back over to Tashi, I think, if that works.
Okay. Thank you, Meryl and Danny. Any questions for them? Okay. No question? Going once, going twice? Go on. Okay. Okay, moving on to advocacy and event update with Terry. Childcare for CT, organizing our outreach director. Terry?
Hey, hello everybody. I hope everyone's having a nice evening and everyone is staying warm and dry. It's another one of those cold days. So I have some repeat updates and some updates on things that have happened and will happen. So yes, lobby days, we will let you know about future lobby days. As Danny and Meryl said, you can provide written testimony, you can testify virtually, or you can testify in person. Both Meryl and I do trainings for these. I also have open office hours. So if you're thinking like, okay, I want to dip my toe in or stretch a little more, please know that there is support for that. Also, lobby days, we have two confirmed lobby days. So the first two that are confirmed are Wednesday, April 15th and Wednesday, April 29th. We may do another one on either the April 21st or April 23rd. Stay tuned for that. And then on the last day of session, which is May 6th, we call that, it's either thank you day or accountability day. So that is the day that we go back to the Capitol and hopefully we get to say, thank you, legislators, for doing the things that we needed you to do. Or we say, okay, legislators, you didn't do the things that we needed you to do. So please plan on seeing us all again next year. And then we had a Father's Wisdom session that needed to get postponed. We had a bot invade our sign-up form and it created a lot of chaos. And there were hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of signups. And so we needed to shift gears, make quick decisions. And so we opted to postpone. The next date for that is March 14th. It will be virtual from 10 to 12. We do not have a sign up for it yet. However, if you are a father or a grandfather or a person who identifies as with like he, him pronouns, and you are one of the sole people taking care of a child, please know that you can attend and make a note of it in the chat. If you know somebody who you think might want to attend not a listening session, the Father's Wisdom session, please let us know. The purpose of this wisdom session is to gain knowledge on how we can create a father's affinity group that will be sustainable, meaningful, and impactful for its members. So there is that. And let me see. Oh, very happy about this. So we have launched a stakeholder advisory committee. Very quickly, the purpose of this group is to make recommendations to our policy committee. Ava kind of coined this really smart term. She basically she said that this committee will be the conscience of the coalition. There are some folks on this meeting tonight who are members. I see at least 3. If I don't call your name, just please, come on screen and just say, hey, me too. So there is Faith Fateh, who actually asked a question earlier, Monique Gardon, and Mindy Gold. Mindy also asked a question earlier. So really excited about this group. We had our first launch meeting on February 7th. It went really well. And we are excited to have the next meeting, which is scheduled. I can't remember the date that it's scheduled for, but it is on the calendar. And those are my updates. Passing it back to Tasha.
Yep, thank you, Terry. We look forward to sharing the event with our friends and family. To wrap it up the work, and the coalition is doing. Eva, take it away.
Okay, thank you. So in addition to the awesome new groups that we're getting started that Tara just mentioned, we also have been working on some subcommittee work. Right off the press, this meeting happened today, but some of the best conversations, happen when people come together and have dialogue. We're going to be starting a subcommittee and some conversations on higher education and how higher education impacts new people coming into the workforce and providers staying in the workforce. For anyone who wants to be part of that higher ed conversation, let us know. You can put your name in the chat. Keep an eye out on social media and email to, be kept abreast on what's happening with higher ed and the connection of higher ed and early care. We also have a subcommittee that just wrapped up with some surveys on parents and the impact of their workforce, how many hours they work, and how the lack of childcare really hurts their ability to stay at work or make sure that they're doing, that balance between work and home. So we hope to have that information on a one-pager very soon to share. I'm sure no one here is going to be surprised by the results that, oh my God, parents need childcare. But this is just more information to prove our point to legislators and anyone paying attention. We want to make sure that our analysis is always up to date. So even though everyone in this space knows how desperate and how much we're in crisis, it's always good to back it up with information. Another subcommittee that we've been working on has been analysis, right? Taking a bunch of studies and then making them into documents where legislators could understand. So one of those documents is ready to go. Shout out to Meryl, who's on the call, and shout out to Social Impact Partners, SIP, for giving so much effort from your team to crunch the numbers, look at what's happening and how that impacts what the childcare industry is going through. I'm gonna put the link on the I think Alyssa's gonna put the link on the chat because she's quicker than me. Oh, it might already be there. Let's see. Alyssa or Danny, I know one of you had the link earlier, so if you can put it on the chat, that'd be great. It's a link, it goes directly to our website with that. I call it a one-pager, but technically it's a two-pager. If you have questions on what it says and what it's trying to quantify, let me know. I'll share my screen really quickly just to give you some highlights and walk you through. Let me share my screen. Thank you. Thank you guys for putting the link in the chat. Very helpful. Okay. So this link goes directly to our website, like I mentioned. And reminder, anything that's on our website is also very easily translated into Spanish for those who need it. I always want to be mindful of our Spanish speakers. I think it also allows you to try different languages as well. So if you speak Hindi or Arabic, most of the top languages spoken in the United States, the website will translate. So be on the lookout for that. And please make sure that if you have a language need that you vocalize to us. We're always happy to make sure we connect people. So the first page gives legislators and anyone who doesn't understand the crisis a grounding. It says, hey, this is what's happening. Things are really, really bad. Then we go into a reminder that the endowment that we passed last year is very important. We cannot walk away this year with funding it less than what was promised or ignoring it all. We have to double down, triple down on funding the endowment. It then talks about the slots, right? Who's being helped? What families are going to be able, what is the community we're trying to build? And reminding that community is not going to stay in 1,000 children. We want to get into the thousands of 20, 20, 30, 40, 50, but it takes time to build that. And then we go into the gap how many people need access and what's remaining in the system. And I'm going to fast forward, highlighting some of the updates that Danny and also Meryl did earlier. Things are not great with Care for Kids. That connection between Care for Kids not being okay and how that impacts the endowment and the growth. And then it just kind of rounds everything out with making sure that the momentum is there, making sure that we're paying attention and we're not dropping the ball right now when it's so important. So that's a quick highlight of the document. You can feel free when you have conversations with your own legislators in your district, because we're all going to do it, right? Everyone on this call is going to either send an email, send a text message if you have the cell phone of your legislator, be at the Capitol, come to a hearing online or in person, whatever way you want to communicate the need and why it's so important this year to your legislative official. Every way is important. You decide how you're going to communicate that, but whatever way you're going to communicate it, just know that we've got your back. We've got documents that we can hand to you to help facilitate that conversation and make it easier. And you always add your own flair, add your splash of how this is happening and impacting your life and why it's important. To come very soon, we're going to have some more analysis broken down. Tara has been hounding me on talking points for our bills. So I promise, Sarah, I will get you talking points for the bills. Me and Danny have been working on a lot of documents to prep us for session. If you're wondering what's the delay, not all the bills are real yet. So, how do you write a document for something that hasn't happened yet? So we're working on that. We're picking up the pace because session's picking up the pace. So we won't, leave you hanging. We've got you. We've got your back. We're partners in this. And the end goal is making sure that we come out of this session stronger than before. And that means really supporting the parents and providers who build this movement. I know some people on the call feel like last year so much effort was put, and now it's like, what do I have to show for this year? And some people, in the movement that were there last year are not available to give their time this year, and that's understandable. The reality when we're organizing and we're trying to make big changes, big change takes time, and not all those elected officials fully understand why urgency is real. But I'm not going to turn my back on anyone. We're in it together. Our team is here together. Our partners are here together. We're really fortunate to have partners like the Alliance. And I'll pass it back to Tashi.
Thank you, Eva. Before we go to the final remark and resources, I just want to say to everyone that's on here that I know, like Eva mentioned, I was going to say, but she also stated that we feel like we've been fighting and we've been doing all this work, and what do we have to show for it? It's anything you want to do in life, right? It takes time, it takes effort, it takes perseverance, right? But if we don't keep fighting and we don't keep pushing forward, and the moment that we relax, our legislators are going to be like, see, they don't need it. We're okay. We're not trying to come to this space to show them that this is just a one-time thing. We have to continue fighting. Even though you may not see a good result right away, believe me, you're going to see that at the end, right? And that's why we need everyone's testimony, whether it's written, whether it's by Zoom, any way that you can sign up, whether it's for Merle, whether it's for Eva, anywhere. Because remember, it's benefiting all of us, not only one. The moment we say, no, I don't have the time to testify, that's the moment you're telling the legislator, listen, you don't need to care about what we're doing either. So we all here in the safe space as a team, not an I, because there's no I in team. We all here together, and we all got to make it work, and we all got to light their butt up to let them know that, listen, we didn't come here to play, right? We come here for results, and it's not just a one-time result. This is a lifetime, and we need results. So let's go back on. Okay. Sorry, Eva, I just had to say something. So, I just want to tell you guys to Please remember to visit childcareforct.org, social media for updates, our YouTube channel for recording, and thank you for being here, and we'll see you in March. Thank you. Leslie, thank you for the language interpretation. Thank you, everyone. And again, remember, we still have to fight. Rome wasn't built in one day, right? Nothing was done in one day. So don't look at last year, we was frustrated, it was draining. That's how you get results. And like I said, if they didn't fight for women, women wouldn't have freedom. If they didn't fight to end slavery, slavery wouldn't end. So remember, when you're fighting, remember the end cause. It's not for the now, but it's for the future. And that note, I leave you guys. You have a blessed night.